their founders. This one is particularly interesting for you. So for the last session of the AI session, we have Ido Jonathan Engel, who is the cloud and AI lead at Microsoft, and he's going to be talking about tech giants and AI. Please welcome him to the stage.
Thank you. Hello. Hello. Hi, my name is Ido Engel. I come to you from Tel Aviv. I run go-to-market on AI for Microsoft in Southeast Europe, which includes Greece, obviously. We have a lot of content for you, but the aim here is to give you a sense of what big tech are doing, the famous 7, the famous 4, and where it finds you. So I hope that this raises some thoughts for you. So let's start where it started. 2.5 years ago, AI was introduced, and it was declared as the fastest technology adoption in the history of mankind. Why? Because within 2 months, ChatGPT got to 100 million users, okay? And let's see if indeed it was adopted, but definitely in the consumer space it was adopted. And then the market hype started. Anyone who said AI got your attention, got CEO's attention, C-level attention. But the fact is that this also caused a lot of things to happen in the back end with big tech. And they started training models. But the thing that they found out is that the cost of training models is exponential. The more you add parameters, the cost is going up to the hundreds of millions of dollars, to an extent that GPT-5, which is about to come out in 1 month, is rumored to cost $500 million for every training run. What does that mean? It means we won't see more players coming to the field unless they have billions of dollars in funding. The last entrance to the field is from the former co-founder of OpenAI, Ilya Sutskever, who retired from OpenAI and started a company with a funding of $32 billion. So that's about the cost that big tech are paying to give us the models. Now, when we ask ourselves how much money do they put in there, we're talking about over $1 trillion, okay? So you can see here, Amazon, Google, Meta, and Microsoft, between 2023 and 2026, are investing over $1 trillion. Does anyone see the return on investment yet? Not sure. How is that split? So obviously, where is that money going? That money is going to NVIDIA. Everybody knows NVIDIA, that became a multi-trillion-dollar company because of all this buying. But we see that the top 4, Meta and Microsoft, are buying lots of GPUs, which is the hardware used for AI, and Google and Amazon right after. But let's see what's special about those companies. Meta and Google are consumer companies. They know about us more than we know about ourselves, and they are training AI models heavily, and they're buying heavily. The other 2 companies, Microsoft and Amazon, are large language model investors. Microsoft invested in OpenAI, AWS, Amazon invested in Anthropic and the cloud models, and this is how the money is spent, okay? So this is a very interesting distinction between who is an LLM company and who is an AI platform. Microsoft and AWS more of an AI platform. What did Microsoft do? And I come from Microsoft, so I'm going to give you some extended view into that. Microsoft said, I'm investing in OpenAI, which is a proprietary source, but I understand that some of the industries, like banking, insurance, healthcare, are regulated. They might want to be more controlling of AI. They might want to use open source. So he partnered with Meta. So these are 2 of the big 4 partnering to create the Llama models. This is already almost 2 years old. And this is how he strengthened his position for both open source and proprietary source for Microsoft. What is Google doing? OpenAI declared war on search. And what we see with Google is that instead of the business model of bidding for search terms for Google, which is generating more than 90% of the revenue for the past 25 years, it's going away. We see that search terms are going away. So now they need to come up with a new business model. We see that the market share that OpenAI takes from Google, it runs on Azure, right? So Microsoft is benefiting again. I want to expose you to all these interactions. And then Google, as you've seen, has spent a lot of money And now it's an LLM company. So when it offers something to its customers, on the B2B side, it has to return on investment based on these models. And this is causing Google to offer less than 10% of the inventory that Microsoft and AWS offer their customers, because they are a supermarket and Google is an LLM company. That doesn't mean anything bad about Google. It's going to dominate the consumer AI space, the same as Facebook is, and we're already seeing that happen. As far as Microsoft is concerned, this is Satya Nadella, this is the CEO of Microsoft, and he says, I'm the UN, okay, so I don't spend any CapEx for training models. I only spend the CapEx to serve my clients, and may the best model win. Go ahead and fight, and whatever model there is, I will offer it. It doesn't care if it's a Chinese model or a US model, it all runs on Azure, which is its cloud platform. Now, let's talk about how we've moved in the past 2 years and what's really next for us in the AI market. So, a year and a half ago, GPT-4 was about to come out, and you see here the amount of parameters being used by models from 2018 onwards. We see it moving from the million parameters range to the billion parameters range. And a year and a half ago, it reached the trillion parameter range. So this looks linear, but it's actually an exponential graph you can see on the y-axis. Where is it today? GPT-4 of 4.5 is available, and now it has almost 13 trillion parameters. So this is showing you exponential growth, and again, the cost. The cost to train this is nearly $500 million for everyone. Let's talk about scaling. How much does AI progress in a given year? So up until now, we used to say it doubles itself every 6 months, meaning that in 1 year, we gain 4 times the amount of progress in AI. But now, this is old news. It's doubling itself every 3 months, which means that every year it grows 16x, okay? And those of you trying to track the AI news are seeing this happening. How does progress look like? So I asked AI, does Margot Robbie like my lecture? This is a year old. And now a year later, I asked the same question, and it looks like this. So much, much better AI, and this is 16x advancement, as you can see it in your eyes. What's happening in the cost side? So on the cost side, we took 14 months, and within 14 months, you see the cost dropping to 1/12, and the speed going six times better, meaning that $1 spent in May 2024 is equal to $72 spent in March 2023. So this is a 72x return on investment for the customer, and this is your opportunity as customers to leverage this, okay? What is the cost and this efficiency, where does it come from? From 3 areas. One is hardware progress, so all the hard work that NVIDIA is doing. 2, it's data training. This is the most active domain. This is the domain that makes sure that there's less hallucinations and more accuracy and reliability in AI. And last is algorithms coming from the language model companies. So these are 3 factors. Each of them is an industry on its own. It's a huge industry on its own. What does the future hold? People ask me. So the roadmap is just more parameters. That's what it seems. But we'll see if that's actually true in a second. And when you ask the CEO of OpenAI, who obviously is not an objective person, he says, there is no wall. There is no limit to how AI can grow. It will grow with many more parameters to come. And my point to you is, if you're spending your time tracking AI, trying to compare models all the time, and it's becoming a bit restless, just stop doing it. You need a platform that will compare all these models for you, because the pace of progress is just very, very high, and it's inhuman to track it. What have we done in the past 2 years? So 2 years ago, we introduced ChatGPT, which is a chat interface, and we could speak in our natural language to a machine that has a reasoning engine, and it could give us answers. A lot of us got stuck there. Since then, we've released this, which says, we can not only chat with it, but we can have a conversation with it in voice. We can have it look at us and respond to what it's seeing. We can submit diagrams and pictures and have it relate to it. There's lots more memory and context, lots more reasoning and planning. Just to give you a sense, what you can enter today in the chat field is equal to the whole series of books of Harry Potter. You can put that in your prompt every single second, and AI will work. So this is how how large and the size of tokens it's taking as input. 2 years ago, the beginning of AI in the enterprise world, I'm going to direct your attention to the enterprise world. We're going away from the consumer space. Microsoft came and said, we are introducing the concept of co-pilots. So you are the pilot, AI is the co-pilot. We're going to introduce it across all of our products. It could be in Office, you can speak to your Excel and ask it for answers. You can have Word write a press release for you. You can have Security Copilot check your network. You can have Fabric. You can speak to your database, your whole data in your organization. Everything is available in native language. And today, basically, this is already a fact. If you look at Greece, a lot of enterprise clients in Greece have co-pilots, and so this is the first part. Where did we move onwards? We moved from the Microsoft co-pilots to hardware, co-pilot plus PCs. So these are personal computers that have AI hardware that you can use. And lastly, the co-pilot stack, which is AI stack, that each of you can now leverage. So 2 years ago, Microsoft was partnering only with OpenAI, primarily with OpenAI, to introduce AI in text, in code, in image. Today, as I said before, for Microsoft, you have a supermarket. You have more than 1,800 models. Some of these models you can partner with Microsoft. So for example, if you are a shipping company and you want to have a shipping model, Microsoft will give you its platform to train a new model on. So you don't have to do it yourself. If you're the Greek government and you want a model in Greek, you can do the same thing. So this is how big tech are giving you the infrastructure to come and work with it. Everything is available as a service, so you don't have to be an infrastructure expert. And really, if I summarize the two approaches, one approach that you see on the left is there are products which are plug and play, they're pre-trained, they do what it says on the box. And then the second approach, if you want to build your own AI, you have a complete tech stack to look at, and that's exactly what I'm going to show you now. So in every big tech organization that introduces AI to the field, all of this is part of the game. So what you see here at the bottom, it starts with the AI infrastructure. Obviously, we all know NVIDIA, but also AMD and Microsoft are chips that are being used in your laptops. If you're buying a Copilot Plus PC, it's already running these. If you look at the foundation models, so we spoke about this before, now the models that you've seen are being used in more than 70,000 organizations. So there's been a lot of training, a lot of know-how that is feeding the new models. We spoke about OpenAI, so the enterprise version of OpenAI is called Azure OpenAI, and basically it's refreshing every time OpenAI make a release. Azure put it on top of it, and how is it made available to us? Remember how much ROI the big tech need to make? You can start at $1.10 per hour for an EU data zone. So this is considered costly, and still look how cheap it is. It's a much better entry level than what you've had 2.5 years ago. But as I said, it doesn't end with proprietary source. We need to see how we can use open source. So that's included as well. But I want to make sure you're all aware that LLMs are not the only AI models there are. There are also small language models, SLMs. And I think they shake a bit the foundation of what we've seen in terms of AI spending. So if you look at Fee 4, this is a Microsoft model. So Microsoft, remember, they're not an LLM company, but they are an SLM company. To train Fee 1, it took 4 computers for a week. It didn't take a data center. Okay, so there's much fewer parameters in the SLMs. Fee 4 includes more than that, but still it can run on your edge device. It can run on your watch. It could run on your phone. It could run on your laptop. It doesn't have to contact the data center. Of course, it can also run on the cloud. Okay, but if we look at Fee 4, you ask yourself, do I really need an LLM for every purpose? And the question is no. You see here that the math score in Fee 4 was higher than GPT-4o. Okay, so this GPT-4o is a multi-trillion parameter model, and Fee 4 is only 14 billion. Okay, so it's less than 0.5% in terms of parameters. But as far as most of the consumers you'll find in the field, it could be enough. okay? So you don't necessarily need all that spending that we've seen, all the $1 trillion that we've seen. Another thing that disrupted the models, obviously, is the war between the West and China, okay? So the West, specifically the US government, said to NVIDIA, you're not allowed to sell chips to China, okay? And as a result, China took that and basically created better algorithms. So they came out with those algorithms around 6 months ago. DeepSeek R1 was the first one that really challenged OpenAI, came to #1 in various categories, came to #3, and it's using much less hardware than the usual LLMs. And as a result, look what happened. The NVIDIA stock fell many points by 12% in one day. And of course, all the big tech were influenced as well. And it's clear why, right? If it's not using a lot of hardware, then why are we spending $1 trillion on it? And NVIDIA will be impacted. So I tried to summarize for you how many models are coming out in the world right now, and how many of them are coming from China versus the West. And if you sum it up, the last 6 months, China released more models than the entire Western Hemisphere. So if you take in aggregate Google, OpenAI, Anthropic, Microsoft, XAI, Elon Musk, right? Mistral from France. It's still all together, it's less than what China has released in the past 6 months. And you can see really what's happening here and the fight for that. Another thing that is basically changing the paradigm is the fact that AI is still maturing. It's not really clear what's going to be the final tech stack. So if you look at research that's coming out right now, you see that even LLMs no longer necessarily require all those servers, okay? Secondly, you see that some researchers say that they can run LLMs on CPUs. You don't need the GPUs from NVIDIA. So everything we know now can really change, especially for NVIDIA, and that's why NVIDIA is very busy making a lot of strategic acquisitions. Coming to your data, each of these steps is an industry by its own where all of you can get involved, right? So if we look at data, the promise that we see on the left is that AI will create a lot of GDP, right? 13 trillion in GDP. But if you ask a CIO, he will call himself a chief integration officer. His data framework is completely fragmented, completely siloed. He's lucky to know if he has all of his data, right? Not to mention secure it, not to mention provide it as one layer for AI to work on. So that's a big challenge, and you'll see big tech offering intelligent data platforms, such as this one from Microsoft. And the key here is to make sure that every person handling data has a tool to work with. Data engineers, data scientists, data analysts. So this is the myriad of tools we have, and you can see that it's all best of breed. So if we need Databricks, Databricks is embedded in Azure. If you need Snowflake, it's there. MongoDB, Oracle, Redis, as long as it runs on Microsoft, Microsoft employs an open garden and works with it. And so we come to the next layer, which is really a key layer when you're doing an AI implementation. So if we look at the next layer, it's model orchestration, right? And just to give you a sense of what happened in the past 2 years when we started deploying AI, 93% of the models, of the implementations, use more than one model. They actually use more than 3. So almost all the implementations need more than 3 models, which means that if you work with a model company, you get stuck somewhere in the implementation, and that's the second number that you see. 80% of the projects did fail. Why did they fail? Because all of the work that you need to do, the data integration, the engineering work, the search, responsible AI, prompt engineering, all of that had to be redone once you move to a new model, even if it's the same company, from 4 to 4.0. If you worked with a model company, you got stuck. As a result, what big tech came up with, especially Amazon and Microsoft, is with an abstraction layer where you can save all of this work and just change the model beneath it, okay? At Microsoft, this is called the AI Foundry. So you have here all the concepts that you need. You have AI search. You have the agent service, which is where you can orchestrate agents. And you have content safety. You can evaluate models, compare them. You have a model catalog with more than 1,800 models that you can use. And on the left-hand side, you have the developer tools, which, according to the field, are the best code-to-cloud experience. So you have the most popular code platform in the world, That's Visual Studio. And you have GitHub, which, as you know, is the Wikipedia of code. And that's owned by Microsoft as well. So when we look at GitHub, it has more than 100 million developers writing code, more than 4.5 billion commits every year. What happens when you take this data and you put AI on top of it? You get GitHub Copilot, which, as you'll notice, again, the open garden approach by Microsoft is this is an open platform. So OpenAI runs there, Gemini from Google runs there, and Anthropic from AWS runs there. And the point is that 55% of the code is written faster. Okay? So that's basically telling us that R&D is being, I don't want to say commoditized, but certainly you're able to develop much, much faster than you could in the past. And so we get to the users, the top layer. And at the users level, this is where we meet the interface. And today, we're all speaking about agents. But we also have copilots, and we can extend them. So just to give us a sense about agents, agents are servicing either an individual, an organization. Okay? They could be delivering a business process, and they could be applicable also for third parties. So you could have agents doing your interaction with other companies. This is all for businesses, again. This is not for consumers. To do that, you have more than 1,400 connectors. So it needs to be able to gather all that siloed data, all that fragmented data from all the systems. This is why this is offered out of the box. And you could do two things. You can take the copilots that Microsoft is offering and extend them with your business data, with your homegrown apps, with your workflows, whatever automation you want to create, you can have your version of Copilot. The second thing you can do is you can write agents. When you speak of agents, the place to orchestrate them, and this is really the forward-looking piece of the architecture in this review today, it's Azure AI Agent Service. So you can bring your own storage and virtual net, so we allow organizations to have that trust that they are using their own storage and network. You have all these connectors, the 1,400 ones, and you can use any models that you want and build the agents. Now, how do you build agents? There's a range of possibilities that vary in complexity, right? So on the left, what you can see is you just use Gen AI as you've used it before. It does the summaries, it does everything you've known in the past 2 years. If you look to the center, you're delivering a constrained process. So this is a process where you're already giving AI some autonomy, but you're using your own company data to ground it, to make sure that it is accurate. And the third level, which we are only now starting to see, is where you're already giving autonomy to AI, meaning that you're allowing AI to make decisions on your behalf. And most businesses are not there yet. We have two scenarios where we go into that. One is a single agent, and two is a multi-agent. I'm going to give you an example of a multi-agent. So let's take one simple business process. We hire an employee, right? So typically today, there's an HR manager, there's a new hire, the IT manager that manually sets up the user accounts, and the training manager that reviews the training and the schedule and allows for that. What we could do, if we use multi-agents, we could keep a human in the loop to supervise and approve, but then we have the HR agent that gives a personalized journey based on the role to the new hire. The new hire needs to interact with the systems. Then there's an IT agent that automatically gives this new individual all the access that he needs across the company systems. And there's a training agent that provides all the training and tracks that and improves training and also checks that the new hire is actually on board with all of this. How do you enable this? You need 4 components. One is you need to give the agent the right context. 2, you need to give it the tools. How can I perform the task if I don't have the tools? You need to give the tools to the agent. And you need to make sure that you're giving the right access to it. Okay? The last aspect is you need to make sure that it doesn't mess up. And this is where it gets stuck today. I can tell you, though, that in the next 12 months, you'll see products like the ones on this slide that are making sure that it doesn't mess up. Okay? So weights and biases, Scale, Gretel, Static, basically that's Microsoft saying, you go ahead, create your startups that allow for better reliability in AI. We will embed them in our AI Foundry. All the companies that you see here were announced by Microsoft CEO as our partners. they've already been sold by multi-billion dollars. So big tech is swallowing up these solutions very, very, very fast, okay? Where is all this going? Where are all the agents going, okay? So first, we use the prompts, and we have a very set model that we use. We have monolithic agents that are basically doing exactly as they've been told. I call that automation. On the society of mind, you see here modular agents that are flexible. You're giving them autonomy. And on the fourth level, you have open source agents that can now interact with each other. So this is a new economy that's starting, okay? There's going to be open source agents, each doing certain things a certain way, and they will all be able to learn from their processes. What does that mean? That if we look at a fixed workflow that exists today, we can have an agent run it, and with time, the agent will learn and improve it. So agents will improve software in runtime. That means that not long from today, in 2 to 3 years maximum, we can see production software finding its own bugs and correcting them independently on the fly. Okay, so if you think about the implications of this, this is already science fiction, or Lethal Weapon 2, for those of you who are old enough. All of this is the entire tech stack, but it needs to be also protected. So look at how many worries big tech has, right? It needs to secure it. And when we look at the state of threats today, we see that they've grown tenfold since AI came to the picture. The cyber economy in 2024 was $9.4 trillion, which is more than the size of the German and Japanese economy combined. And so what we have announced is content safety, obviously, where we want to make sure that we prevent hallucinations, we prevent attacks, we prevent hacks, we prevent threats, and that's built into the solution. So towards the end, I want to talk about the 2026 AI opportunity, and I heard there are some founders or wannabe founders in the audience, so I want to focus you on 2 key things. One is the go-to-market opportunity. What you've seen is that the term vibe coding is on the rise. Basically, this is us being able to code products just by saying what we want. And for that, we have these tools. 4 of them are mentioned here. GitHub Copilot you've seen from Microsoft, Windsurf, Base44, Cursor. They're all booming, okay? And so you can code now just by natural language, create your own apps, which means that the focus is moving to go-to-market. Whoever here could be a great marketer and could do great product market fit and know how to start and scale revenue, those are going to be the winners of the new age. And in my view, this provides Greece with an opportunity, because it doesn't matter how many engineers you have anymore. It doesn't matter. It matters how many people you have on product and marketing and sales. And I know you as great sellers, so I think this is a great opportunity for the country. How do you use big tech for that? So if you're a software vendor and you want to use big tech for that, you can do 2 things. One, you can go on the marketplaces. So AWS, Microsoft, Google, they have marketplaces. You can put your software there. What that means is that if you found an interested client, you're no longer the vendor. You can say, oh, just buy that from Microsoft or any other tech giant. And that means you don't need to find, or you don't need to meet the chief procurement officer or the chief legal officer. That's one thing. The second thing, which is most, for sellers, this is heaven, your budget is already there. Why? Because Microsoft has already signed an agreement with your client that committed to buy X amount of dollars in cloud services, meaning that if he buys that, he gets a discount. So the budget to buy your product is already there, okay? So those are tricks to be aware of. Another, and we're almost at the end, another opportunity which I think is huge. We're looking at the fastest growing adoption gap in history. So while AI as a technology is climbing exponentially at a pace of 16x per year, AI in enterprise, not in consumer, in enterprise, the adoption is relatively slow. And this is because a lot of the clients are still wary to use AI, and 30% or fewer reach production, okay? This gap will never be closed that fast, but it could be minimized, and I hope some of you will help to minimize it. So that's the opportunity there. It could be by creating AI enablement companies or anything else that you can do. The way we look at the closing the gap, we've come up with off-the-shelf opportunities, ROI-driven opportunities. We took Copilot, we ran analytics on it, and as a result, we were able to look at every department in the organization and say, what's the ROI that we can give? So we provided that analysis, and today this exists at Microsoft and every partner. I just want you to know that this is your starting point as founders. Every person in the organization has the top business cases for AI that it can use. And for each business case, you know, who is this interesting for? What are the motivations? What are we offering? What are the top AI use cases? And for each use case, you can drill down and say, how do we measure success and business impact? Is it customer-facing? Will it impact my clients? Is it easy to implement or not, etc.? For the engineers of view, we already have the architectures. So all this knowledge is being collected by Microsoft, and I think that's what's unique to this tech giant. This also exists in industries. So take the energy industry, the shipping industry, the banking industry, the insurance industry. We are collecting all of those use cases, and you can see that many of the industries are relevant for Greece, so you can implement them either internally or internationally. In summary, okay, and this is the end of your day, so I hope you're happy. We've seen that big tech have been divided to LLM companies versus AI development companies, AI platform companies. That's one end that I wanted to make clear. They have a lot of challenges. They have put more than $1 trillion in capital expenditure commitments that now they need to return, which means they are going to be great partners, even to the smallest organizations. So this is a great start for founders. Secondly, we spoke about the fact that you need to be able to move between models very fast. So in order to do that, in Microsoft, that's called AI Foundry. It's a future-proof architecture where you don't need to track every model that comes out, but you can just try it. As soon as it comes in, there's an agent that comes and tries your solution with the new model. Third, we're moving from the AI hype into a use case-driven economy. So let's see, what do you need? Let's start from the problem, not from the technology. Fourth, open garden. Even if you're a tiny startup, Microsoft has in every part of its tech stack an open garden for you to approach. I've shown you 4 companies who have become unicorns. I hope that the 5th one becomes one from Greece. And really, if we try to solidify what this means for founders, if you focus on the gap between the tech and the adoption and analyze what is causing it to be too slow, I've given some input to that, you can make a significant amount of money. The second element is become an AI enablement company. If you touch any aspect of what we spoke, the security, the cost optimization, for example, how does FinOps for AI look like? That's a very, very hot space. Everyone who's going to enter it is going to be very successful. And lastly, I just want to say, and maybe you should take out your cameras, last thing for the day, we're coming to Athens with the Microsoft AI Tour. This means that number 3 in Microsoft will be here. His name is Judson. June 16th, you're all invited to Stavros Niarchos Hall. Am I pronouncing it right? And if you want to register, this is the tiny QR code that I generated. You can just, I'll move away. You can just go ahead and register right now. We'll be happy to see you there. As you can see, there's lots of space. I'm not sure how much is left, but I'll end with that. Thank you, everyone, and hope you enjoyed it.